We have got tons to talk about today, so I'm going to buckle down and try and get over every single topic as efficiently as I can. But before we get into that, if you came out and saw us at Nostalgic for Black Friday weekend, thank you! We had one of the best weekends we've ever had at Nostalgic. We had a great time seeing all you guys and getting lots of games into people's hands. And our Black Friday deals are running through the end of December, so come on down and see us if you haven't already. And if you already have seen us and you racked up some $5 rewards, come back and see us again. We get new stuff every day. So a lot of the news this week is going to be about Microsoft and Sony and the absolute show that is going on behind closed doors right now. But I'm going to open up with something a little easier to digest. So if you watched last week's episode, or if you watched our streams, or hell, if you bought the games for yourself, you probably know that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are not the best games ever made. They are poorly performing, buggy messes. And a lot of people are really disappointed at the state of this AAA game from the most profitable franchise in the world. Well, good news, I guess. Nintendo is offering refunds. Multiple people have initiated refunds through the Nintendo eShop, and they have received them. Never thought I'd see the day. It is a good step for Nintendo, garnering favor with their fans, but it kind of concerns me in the long run. This likely means that Nintendo probably isn't going to commit to making this game better. It is the fastest selling and most pre-ordered game in Pokemon and Nintendo history. They got your money, and if they refund some of it, big whoop. Probably just going to wait and promise that the next Pokemon game will be better than this one. I'll absolutely stay on top of it, and if Nintendo does push out updates and improve Scarlet and Violet like they really should, I will absolutely let you know, and I would absolutely stream it and check out those improvements myself. In other news, 343 released a bunch of documentation for these mod tools that they've pushed out for the Master Chief Collection. And within that documentation, there are never before seen images of Halo 2's development. Now I'll show a bunch of the images here, and none of them are like really spectacular in any way, as most, game development images tend to be, but this is really fascinating. These are images straight from Bungie back in the early 2000s while developing Halo 2. In the name of history and preservation, it is really awesome to see new stuff like this get released. 343 has been teasing about making the E3 Halo 2 demo playable. That would just be another step in the archival and preservation of this legacy franchise. And Forge was released for Halo Infinite a few weeks ago, and some of the stuff people are making is fantastic. My buddy and I have been playing on a bunch of these custom maps, and they are so much fun. Like this one that is literally Peach's Castle from Mario 64, or a total update and recreation of Blood Gulch, so you can hang around and wonder why we're here. Forge mode has definitely revitalized my passion for Halo here, and just getting on and wanting to see what's new. Infinite's been a little dry lately. They haven't really been pushing out too much content, and they've given some reasons for that, and of course game development is difficult, and I understand that. The base game there is fun, and I actually really liked Halo Infinite, and it just makes me so happy to see more new content pushed out. Speaking of more content, CD Projekt Red has announced the next-gen additions for The Witcher 3. Now, most of these updates for next-gen consoles like the PS5 and the Xbox Series line are graphical in performance. They had a 60 FPS performance mode and a 30 FPS graphics mode, and all your specific granular graphic who's-a-what's-its. On PC, they're adding like the cinematic over-the-shoulder camera and a bunch of different options that can help you modify the heads-up display and make mini-maps go away in certain modes and blah. What's super cool is the addition of the Netflix outfits for the main cast of characters, including a whole new quest line to receive the armor and gear that Geralt of Rivia wears in the Netflix series. I'm really excited that there's actually content being added in this update that is free, by the way, if you already own the game. I was worried it was gonna be one of those HD remasters. The game is still pretty recent and the game holds up really well. You don't need to remaster it yet. So I'm really happy that they're actually adding some content and a whole new quest line. In other news, the mobile game Deus Ex Go disappears on January 4th. It dies. It's gone. Onoma, previously known as Square Enix Montreal, is closing its doors. They develop a handful of really interesting and fun time-killer mobile games like Hitman Go and the Lara Croft Tomb Raider Go, and Deus Ex Go. In the grand scheme of things, it's not like it's a main entry in the Deus Ex franchise, but in the name of preservation, it's really scary. This game won't just be taken off of app stores. If you have it downloaded and installed, you will no longer be able to access it. This game is being erased from existence. That is why I am always for physical media. If you buy a game that you can play, they can't take it away from you. It's really unfortunate because, this is a game that a lot of people worked on and put passion into, and no game deserves to be lost forever. With all of that out of the way, the real meat and potatoes of today's episode is about the FTC going after Microsoft. So insiders are claiming that the FTC has already done all the heavy lifting on filing an antitrust lawsuit against Microsoft for their acquisition of Activision Blizzard. A $69 billion acquisition, by the way. Now, this kind of thing is already underway in Europe, and Microsoft is having to defend itself and essentially be like, we're not making a monopoly, this is still fair trade, And what it's essentially boiled down to is Microsoft going into court and being like, but we're not that big. We don't make that much money. And it's like, dude, you got Minecraft. You could probably buy the moon with the amount of money that you make off of Minecraft on a monthly basis. But what's really interesting to me is the argument that they made about Sony and their exclusives. The direct quote is, Sony has more exclusive games than Microsoft, many of which are better quality. Microsoft, who's your lawyer? Like, on the record, you're saying your games are mid? I mean, they're not wrong, but that doesn't look too good. They even made this neat little chart about exclusivity. They're still sticking by that they are not going to make Call of Duty an Xbox exclusive. There's just too much money on the table for them to take that away from PlayStation. Talking about how niche certain franchises are and essentially having to explain the validity of keeping certain games exclusive and certain games not. Saying that it makes more sense for a game like that, with a more niche audience, to be an exclusive than something like Call of Duty, which has massive widespread appeal. I don't know whose side I'm on here, really. It's honestly a toss-up. Yeah, having one of the largest tech brands and main console manufacturers in the world purchase one of the largest game developers in the world seems a bit shifty, but some of the arguments they made kinda make sense. The fact that games like God of War, The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, and Marvel's Spider-Man are all exclusives to Sony, why can't Microsoft have a win? I mean, what do they got right now? Gears of War? Forza? I mean, you could say Halo, but that's so widely available on PC, and Sony's starting to spread out and put more of their games on PC, which is really cool to see, but I really just don't know where my opinions lie on this issue. I would love to know what you guys think, and if you're for or against Microsoft's acquisition of Activision and Blizzard. Acquisition of Activision, that's a really hard thing to say. And the final thing I want to talk about today is Hyperkin's announcement of the Xenon. For the 17th anniversary of the Xbox 360, they are releasing a replica controller that is compatible with current-gen consoles and PC. Similar to what they did with the original Xbox and the Duke, this is going to be a 1-1 recreation of that original 360 controller, but with some modern console improvements like menu and share and all that stuff. I always love seeing special console controllers, especially throwback ones. If you didn't watch our video on the Hyperkin Xbox Duke, definitely check that out because that controller is so cool. I really hope that this controller goes the extra mile like that one did. The only thing I'm concerned about is that apparently the Xenon will only be a wired controller and will not have the option of being wireless. If I got this, I'd probably be using it mostly for PC and having the USB-C cable to just easily connect it to my PC that almost always has a USB-C cable already plugged into it, and the headphone jack, yeah, I can take the trade-off. Those will absolutely be something we try to stock at Nostalgic, so stay tuned for that. And that's pretty much everything I have to talk about today. I mean, Andor finished up, and it was spectacular. If you didn't watch Andor, it's some of the best Star Wars content we've had in years. And in my opinion, some of the best dialogue and script writing we've had in any Star Wars project. George Lucas is a mastermind and can build a universe like nobody else, but his dialogue writing skills are a little shaky. I mean, just look at the prequels. It is so awesome to have some dialogue-driven drama in the Star Wars universe, and I enjoyed every second of this show. Absolutely check it out if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. If you stuck around for the whole thing, I really appreciate it. Go ahead and, tickle that like button or subscribe if you haven't already. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers, and I would love to hit that milestone by the end of the year, so please, let's make that happen. So thanks for tuning in to the Nostalgic Network, and I'll see you next time.